Hello everybody, how you doing? It is Thursday night. I'm home from work and I came out to the shop and I've been working on my rack and I think you'll like it. Let me turn around and show it to you. Pretty well, I think it's done, with the exception of maybe putting something across the back to help mount it. But I got to thinking I could always drive a screw through here. So I went ahead and left that off for the time being just to see what happens. Notice down this side, I put some let's call them dados. Basically, that lets the cases slide in. Let me go grab the cases and put them in the rack and show you what it looks like filled. Here's basically what it's going to look like mounted to the wall. I had to kind of guesstimate how far out these will stick because the back is open and I could just literally push them all the way through and they will be against the wall when it's mounted, but that's about how it's going to look from the side. I really am happy how it worked out. These little cuts, these reliefs are great. You can see they pull out nice and easy. You could use the top to actually open them and check out what you're looking for. Most likely, I think the top of mine will probably have more of these sitting on top of it, some of the smaller ones. And then they slide back in. It's hard to do. There we go. I was trying to look through the camera lens instead of looking at the rack, but that fits really nice. So it's time to head over to the other side of the shop and mount this to the wall. I am very happy with it. It is like awesome. Check it out. I've got all of my small containers up here. I've got my larger ones. Everything is very accessible. It is super close to my lathe. It sticks out a little bit, but you know what? It doesn't stick out so far that it interferes with the shelf, so that's perfect. I couldn't be happier. This is now wide open. The only thing that's sticking up is the drill bits, but they're always going to stick up. I'm not too worried about that. I am ready now to take a look at putting the backer plywood on this wall so that I can start hanging some of the stuff like, you know, like these. These are my presets for my grinding wheels. You know, if I want to put a 40-degree grind or a 45 or a 50-degree grind on something. I've got my chuck jaws here that I can hang up on the wall. I've got several sets of chuck jaws from my Barracuda. Wow, I am just super stoked about this. And check it out, man. That corner, heck, man, that looks really awesome. It almost looks professional, right? Not exactly, but I'll take it. I've got the top off of my new barrel. I was using it for just a little bit of cleanup, and I thought, well, let's just see what happens if the suction gets plugged on the end of my hose. And I put my hand over the hose, and sure enough, it sucked in. It imploded. Didn't hurt the barrel because it's plastic. I was able to take a rubber mallet and knock it back out. But I've got an idea. On the inside of here, what I'm going to do is measure from side to side, okay, one way and then the other. And I'm going to take a 2x4 and I'll split it in half so it's like, you know, 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and I'll run it one this away and one this away, and I'll just drill a screw in from the outside of the barrel to hold that in place. And what should happen is that should keep it from imploding. I think that's the best way to handle it. It won't affect anything. I mean, yeah, you know, it'd take a little bit of space up, but it's all loose dust anyway, so it's not a big deal. I can still basically dump it and it won't really hurt anything. But I think that's what we're going to do to stop it from imploding. I have gone ahead and put the wood inside of the barrel. I just took a self-tapping screw and put a nice big fender washer on it to hold them in place. What I'm going to do now is put the lid back on, fire up the shop vac, and I'm going to put my hand over the end of the hose to see if there's any implosion. You're about to witness this implosion test live, so cover your ears because the shop vac gets a little loud. I truly didn't expect that to happen, did you? Man, that shop vac has got some serious suction. That just goes to show you that shop vac has been running for quite a long time, and I've never changed the filter. I've never changed the bag. If you open it up, there's a tiny bit of dust in there, but overall, it's super clean and it really maintains a good, strong suction. As long as you don't cap the end of the hose, you won't have any trouble, but you know how that is. You're vacuuming something up and you drop the vacuum on the floor or the hose on the floor, and it'll suck to a board, or it'll pick up a rag and it's going to plug it. It's going to happen. There's no way to truly avoid it. I need to come up with an idea for what I can do on the inside of that barrel, and I may just have to make like a wheel to put in there, and assemble it inside of the barrel to where it goes around the center of the barrel, and then I can screw it to the outside of the barrel to keep that from happening, because you know it's going to happen. So let me put a little thought into that one, and I'll see what I come up with. I'm finding all kinds of fun projects to work on out here. But that's half the fun. I'm having a good time. It's challenging. And I'm not filming anything except for these little video updates because, I don't know, it's just so much more enjoyable just to work without having to worry about the camera. And really, my channel is more about turning than it is about this other stuff. So, you know, we'll just see how that goes. But anyway, let me take the barrel apart, take a look at the inside, see what it looks like, where it needs reinforcement, and see what I can do to make it better. We're going to fix it. Let's talk everybody's favorite subject, math. Okay, my barrel, I got a rough measurement of 16¼ inches. I really think it's more like 16½ on the inside, so I'm going to go with 16½. Now I want to make an 8-sided frame to put into it that is roughly 16½ inches from this side to this side. So these are perpendicular to one another, meaning directly across from one another. So if you take the distance of the two perpendicular sides, the outer distance, 16.5 inches, and multiply that by 0.414, you come up with 6.831, which is the length of each side of the 8 sides. If you take 7/8 of an inch and divide it, so 7 divided by 8, you get 0.875. A little bit larger than what, or a little bit larger than what I need, but it's going to be close enough. You know, we can always trim it down a tiny bit if we need to. So then I said I have 360 degrees all the way around here. I'm going to divide that. I'm going to have 8 sections, but you got to remember, this section has 2 sides. This section has 2 sides, so 8 times 2 is 16. So you divide 360 by 16, you get angles of 22.5 degrees. So we head over here to the table saw, and we made this little jig, which is exactly 6.875 inches in length from the tip of this 22.5 degree angle to the other side. And I was able to put this next to my stop and lay it against my blade and set my stop so I can make 6.875, I keep saying that wrong. No, that's right, 6.875 sides from end to end. So what we're going to do is we'll raise this up, we'll come in, we'll cut ourselves a 22, I've also got this set to 22.5 degrees, so we'll cut a 22.5 degree angle, then we'll flip it over, we'll drop this, we'll put our angle against this stop, and we'll cut our other angle. And I should be able to do that for all 8 of my sides, and then we should be able to put them together. So let's see how this works. Now let's go ahead and get this sled out of the way, and then we'll assemble our frame. All right, there's the frame. I did have to use a couple pieces of 2x4. They are a little thicker, but the thing is, the outside dimension is exactly 6.875, so they'll work just fine. Now let's measure from side to side, and I need to get you guys turned around to see this. We are exactly right there. So between 1/2 and 5/8, and I'm sure as I pull these together, will end up being exactly 16.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is put some glue on this, and I've got a strap I can put around it to cinch it up and bring it together. We're going to let that glue dry, then we'll stick it inside the barrel, see how well it fits. If it fits well, we'll make another one, and then we will actually put some feet on the bottom so that it stands on the bottom of the barrel, and then the other one will be, you know, a certain height higher. I don't know how much higher, but we'll put a couple of feet on there to hold it up, and then this should give us a nice skeletal frame inside of our plastic bin that will hopefully keep the bin from imploding while we're using it. I've got the strap clamp on it. I really like how it looks. It doesn't have to be pretty, but I'll be darned, those angles are tight. I'm super excited about that. I went overboard on the glue. You can see there's extra glue on the paper. That's why I got it off the paper. But I'm going to leave this here because if that fits inside of the barrel, then I'll just make another one. And I'll just use the same paper. I don't want to waste it. But what I figure I'll do is when this dries, I'll come back and I'll just take my sander and I'll just round those corners a little bit, see, so that they're not so sharp. Then we'll slide it down in the barrel, see how it fits. If I think it needs it, I can always come back and reinforce with screws. You can countersink a screw and shoot them in there to reinforce it, but I don't know if it'll need the screws because these pushing against each other should give it a lot of support. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna let that dry overnight, and then we'll get it inside the barrel maybe tomorrow or Saturday, and see just just how it's gonna work. Have you ever had one of those days? I'm sure some of you guys caught my mistake, but I was taking a trip around the block with my wife. We were walking our dogs, and I was telling her about the issue I had and what I did to fix it, and then boom, the light bulb went off. Let me show you the issue. 16.5 inches in diameter. Not 16.5 inches in diameter. So that is not probably going to pass down through here. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can maybe squeeze it a little bit and get it to go in there. If not, what I'll have to do is, cut it in half and then glue it back together inside of the barrel. I tell you, sometimes you don't, you go to all kinds of trouble and you just don't think things through. I'm really, really excited though, because, I built this rack. I built the rack for my collets. I've built that 8-sided frame. And what I've done is that's all been built out of just scraps that have been up top on my loft. Stuff that I've needed to get rid of for a while. You don't want to throw it away. You don't want to burn it because the pieces are decent size. And projects like this come up, and man, that stuff comes in handy. But guys, this is about it for me. I need to get in the house. Dinner's about ready. I got some things to take care of with the family. So I'm going to call it quits, and we'll come back out either tomorrow or Saturday, and we'll work a little more on this. That'll give it plenty of time to dry, and we'll see if we can't get it, to work in that barrel. That's probably, I bet you that's probably, you know what? Let's throw a tape measure on there. Let's not guess. Let's grab a tape measure. Hang on. All right. Yeah, that's 12.5 inches in diameter. 4 inches difference. So I don't know. If I squeeze it, I might be able to get it in there. If not, I'll just cut it, in half. I won't cut it on the angle. I'll cut it on a square section so that I can put it back in there and glue it together. Or I may go ahead and cut it and then put a couple screws in it so that I can put it in the, or a couple of screw holes so I can put it in the barrel and then screw it together in there. I don't know. We'll come up with something. But I'm hoping that works, and I'm hoping I can build a second one, and I'm hoping that I can make kind of a skeletal frame, one high, one low, and then a couple of legs to hold them at the right height, and that will help with the implosion of the barrel, because that barrel should last forever, provided that it doesn't implode. But if it implodes every time, and I got to take a rubber mallet and beat it back into shape, it's just not going to do me any good. That is it for me, guys. I'd like to thank you for hanging out with me today. There'll be more content to come as I make it. Not really making any videos, but I'm having a lot of fun just kind of working in the shop and sharing with you guys. So as long as you're having a good time hanging out with me and seeing what I'm working on, I'll keep sending you some content. All right, take care, have a great evening, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon.